Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend her boyfriend is not allowed at my wedding? Anyway, I'm supposed to be getting married early October 2022. It's not going to be a big wedding or anything, but me and my fiancé both have friends that we don't want to leave out. I have this friend, Amanda. We have known each other since high school and we aren't incredibly close by any means, but we are still somewhat good friends and hang out regularly, and I would like her to be there. The problem is, I just recently found out who she is dating now, and she wants to bring him as her plus one. My sister Lily and her ex Steve broke up about 10 months ago because she found out he was cheating. She was heartbroken, and I know along with that pain she still has a lot of resentment for him, and doesn't even like hearing his name. He was an awful boyfriend, so my family has no problem with him no longer being in our lives. Then 8 months ago, Amanda told me she had started talking to someone and she really liked him and everything. She wouldn't tell me who, not even his name, because she said she didn't want to share anything about him till it got more serious. I didn't really understand his secrecy, but it didn't force her to tell me anything, and just let her know I was happy for her and hope it all worked out. Well, last week she told me she was dating Steve. They had gotten more serious, and she wanted to make their relationship public to the people they care about. She also said she knew how much I disliked him and what he had done to my sister, and hoped I would try to understand their love and be happy for her and try to see him in a different light. I was a little shocked at first, since I really didn't expect her to be with a guy like him, and she knew what kind of person and boyfriend he was. But it isn't my place, and I told her that I'm happy she's happy, and that was that. Well, 2 days later, we are texting about the wedding and everything, and she mentioned Steve being her plus one. I do not want him there. Not only because I know my sister, who's my maid of honor, doesn't want him there, but also because I don't like him and neither does my fiancé. I immediately told her that Steve was not invited to the wedding. She was confused, and I explained to her that I was sorry and I'm happy for her, but I didn't want him there. At first, she thought it was just because my sister would be, and kept saying that they wouldn't even be near each other and it would be fine. But then I explained that with everything that happened, we didn't want him there. I said sorry again, but she kept saying how I don't want her to be happy, how I just want to live in the past, how I want to punish her for finding love, stuff like that. None of that is true, and I tried to tell her that, but she stopped responding. So now I'm left feeling like a complete a-hole, and I don't know if I should just let Steve come or not. Now let's read the comments before the updates. Not an a-hole. She wants to bring the guy that cheated on your sister, a person that you are very close to and is in a wedding party, to your wedding? I think you're in the clear here. I can almost guarantee she didn't start talking to him 8 months ago either. 10,000% this. Hence the BS secrecy. I assume Steve was cheating with her when he was with your sister. But how the heck would they not be near each other in the same venue? Your wedding is not a platform for their crappy coming out. And invite her and don't think twice about it. Enjoy your beautiful drama-free wedding, guilt-free. If it ends your pseudo-friendship, so be it. She sounds a bit unhinged anyway. Your wedding is not a platform for their crappy coming out. This is the thing. Amanda and Steve are hoping to use the wedding as their way to reintegrate into the OP social circle and make OP's sister the bad guy for any lingering resentment. So tacky. Just uninvite Amanda kindly and directly. I am happy if you're happy. But you did choose a partner who has a bad history with my sister, who is very important to me. It's simply not possible for Steve to ever attend a wedding. I don't want him there. It's not up for debate. I think it's best if you don't come either. You're not the a-hole. P.S. You know Steve had Amanda on the line while he was with your sister, right? Even if she's not the other woman, she's the one he monkey-branched to right after your sister dumped him. So he was, at least, laying the groundwork with chats, etc. Now for the first update. First of all, I want to thank everyone so much for commenting and giving judgment. I know I haven't replied to everyone, but I tried to give any extra info that was asked for or relevant, though I am sorry if I didn't reply to you. Now, as I have mentioned in the comments, I had a lapse in my judgment, and that's what led to this post. I thought maybe I was seeing things simply for my distaste for Steve, and it was coming off as I wasn't supportive of Amanda, and that's what made me think I was wrong for not allowing him to come. But I see now. I am completely in the right to not have or want him there, so he will not be invited and that won't be changing. With Amanda, I have pretty much decided that she is no longer invited to my wedding and I'm pretty sure I'm ending the friendship. But I wanted to sit down with her and have a conversation first. Not to salvage anything, but I have some things to say to her and questions to ask. With the cheating, I mentioned in the comments that we only know of 3 girls Steve cheated with. We all believe there are more, especially since one of the affairs goes all the way back to a year. They were together for 2, but we don't know for sure and have no solid evidence at the moment, and Lily doesn't care to find any. Amanda could very well be one of the unknown affair partners. It's very likely, and the timing and secrecy make more sense to believe she was. Even though I intend to end this friendship, and I'm finding it hard to believe that Steve wasn't cheating with her, it would still suck if she had been. Another thing I mentioned in the comments was that Amanda had offered support to my sister when everything happened. She even said more than once that Steve was an a-hole for hurting Lily, and for that to most likely had been an act would suck. I would also like to clear up something about Amanda and her wanting to make their relationship public. Right after she told me they were dating, she started posting them off social media and telling people, so my wedding wouldn't really be their coming out event. Though it would definitely be a way for them to show off their relationship and gloats and everything. Still not okay, but just wanted to clear it up and not mislead anyone. Last thing, I was finally able to get a response out of Amanda. I told her I would like to talk to her about everything and get everything out in the open, and she has agreed to meet me and talk. So I shall update when that happens. For the second update, I wasn't sure if it would be better to post an update here or to make a separate post, so I hope posting here is okay. Also, sorry for the wait. I was finally able to sit down with Amanda and talk today. Anyways, on to what happened. I didn't really want Amanda coming to my house, so we met at the small cafe place near where we live. I figured it wouldn't be too crowded and we would be able to have a discussion easily there, so it was the best option. She was there first, and as soon as I sat down, she looked extremely smug. It seems that she thought I had wanted to talk to apologize or something, and thought I would be telling her Steve was invited to the wedding. Imagine her surprise when I almost immediately tell her that Steve is in no way allowed to attend, and I have officially decided to rescind her invite as well. She was instantly angry, asking why I would do that when I was obviously in the wrong. Why would I uninvite her simply because she wanted her partner there, etc.? BS like that, lol. I let her rant for a minute before I calmly told her what I wanted to say. I told her that my family and literally everyone important to me that would be at the wedding did not like Steve. No one but her wanted him there, and multiple people would be uncomfortable if he was. I also told her it was my wedding and me and my fiancé are the only 2 people who gets to decide who comes and who doesn't. I was clear that she was allowed to want her boyfriend there, but I wasn't obligated to cater to her wants, especially when that's someone I didn't like at all. I even told her that if she had just decided not to come at first since he couldn't, I would have understood. But she tried to guilt me into inviting someone who wasn't wanted, so that's why she was no longer wanted. I told her how her actions made me feel and how I now perceived her. It made it clear I wanted to end our friendship and stop our contact. She was furious through every word. Before I ended the conversation, I told her that I had a question and I wanted a complete truth. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I would get it though. And I asked her point blank, was she with Steve before he and Lily split? She got nervous, wouldn't even make eye contact, and stayed silent for a few seconds. I figured that told me what I wanted to know, but I honestly wanted to hear her say it. Then she did. She told me that they have been together for a year total. They started sleeping together when Steve and Lily got into an argument, and Amanda started falling for him, so thought being his mistress was better than not having him at all. At first, he would only go to her when Lily and him fought, but then he started going to her whenever Lily was busy, or his other girls were. She didn't feel sorry about it at all, and kept trying to justify her actions. She even tried to justify her ability to look my sister in the eyes, to comfort her, all that even though she was hooking up with Steve for so long. She really thinks she did the right thing just because she loves him. At one point she said that they really were in love, and she was the only one in his life now. I felt bad for her then, I admit, but that's not my problem. I got up, I walked out, and I drove straight to my sister's where I am now. Told her what I had learned, and we are having a very fun girls' night with ice cream, alcohol, and movies. Amanda and Steve are no longer my concern, and I have decided to enjoy the stress-free time while I've got it, because I know I'm gonna be stressed closer to wedding day gets. Thank you to everyone who commented. You were all right about the cheating and everything, and I'm extremely thankful for y'all opening my eyes. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to be a groomswoman? So, my 25 male, fiancé 24 female has never gotten along with my sister, 18 female. My fiancé has never liked how close I am with my sister, and it has been a cause of few arguments. I proposed to fiancé Sarah a few months ago and things have been going smoothly. In fact, I would say our relationship has never been better. A few days ago, Sarah listed off to me all of the people she wanted as bridesmaids, and not surprisingly, my sister was not one of them. She said she was planning on asking them in a few more months to be in our wedding. Sarah then asked me if I knew who I wanted as groomsmen. I listed off a couple friends that Sarah knew, Keegan, Joe, Sammy, etc. And then I said I wanted my sister to be one of my groomsmen. This made Sarah upset. She said that it wasn't traditional for a woman to be a groomsman, and that it would embarrass her. I explained to her that my sister was one of the most important people in my life, and she was going to be part of our wedding. This made Sarah even more upset, and she accused me of trying to ruin her wedding day, and she locked herself in the bathroom. It's been a few days since this, and we haven't spoken at all. Many of her family members have reached out to me and asked me not to include my sister in the wedding at all, and that Sarah should be the most important woman in my life, not my sister. My mother-in-law even called me telling me that I was making Sarah depressed, and that I was a horrible person for doing this to my future wife. My sister heard about all of this and told me that it was okay to not invite her. I stood my ground and told all of them that my sister would be included no matter what. Am I the a-hole for doing so? Edit. Sarah's dislike stems from her walking in on my sister and I cuddling. Sister had her head on my shoulder and my arm was wrapped around her, which made Sarah upset. My sister is aromantic and told me when she first came out that she would most likely never get married, and that made her sad. I told her she could be part of my wedding, even if it wasn't the same thing, and I will never forget the look of joy in my sister's face. This is why I won't back down, for those wondering. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Info: why would you want to marry someone who is not only jealous of your little sister, but also seemingly implying that your relationship with her is inappropriate? Absolutely not, the a-hole. You sound like a great big brother. I'm sorry you're going through this. We had argued about it before, but it had been forgotten about until this instance. I will probably be calling my engagement off after reading everyone's advice. I'd also like to say, I really don't like the fact your fiancé said her wedding. Is she marrying herself? Because last I checked, it was your wedding too, and I don't see why she feels it's her right to ruin your wedding day. That's exactly what I thought when I read that line. I had a friend that was engaged and wanted every detail her way regardless of what the groom thought. She tried to convince me to tell him that weddings are all about the bride and only the bride. She was not happy at all when I told her she was crazy, that it was his wedding too and that he should have equal say in their day. They never did get married, and he's deceased now, so not gonna happen. She still refers to herself as a widow though. Your future bride views your sister, who is just barely of legal age by the way, as a sexual rival. Let that sink in, because it's sick. It has sunk in, and it disgusts me. I'm planning on calling off the engagement. Edit. I'm planning on calling off the engagement with Sarah when I get home from work. My sister is more important to me than my miserable marriage. I will be home around 8, so look out for an update around then. And now for the update. Hello guys. This is gonna be a little long, so be patient with me. I got home from work and I told Sarah we need to talk. She agreed, and we sat down in the living room. I started off by asking her why she had such a problem with my sister being a groomsman, and also, as many of you suggested, if she had been assaulted or had any trauma related to that. Sarah told me that she hadn't. She went on to say that having sister as groomsman was untraditional. She said, "Men are groomsmen, women are bridesmaids." Sarah also said she was uncomfortable with how close I was with sister. I asked her to elaborate on this, and Sarah implied that we had more than a sibling relationship. She said cuddling between siblings was something she had never seen, and that it just didn't seem like something normal siblings did. I assured Sarah that nothing like that was happening, but she just didn't seem like she wanted to accept that, and it just led to more arguing. I gave Sarah an ultimatum. We could go to couples therapy, she could try to repair her relationship with my sister, and tell her family to stop guilting me, or we were going to have to call off the engagement. Sarah blew up at me and said she was going to stay with her mother. Family-in-law is now completely pissed at me and are sending me hateful messages on Facebook. Lol. So I guess that's most likely the end of Sarah and I. But to wrap things up on a good note, sister is planning on moving in with me. Her mental health was drained from this, so we decided to move in together. Thank you everyone for sticking through this with me. I appreciate all the kind messages. I ended up showing sister some of them, and she was very delighted. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for assuming I'd be a bridesmaid at a friend's wedding when I'm not even invited? I'm really good friends with the sister of my ex-boyfriend, Marina. Marina's getting married in December, and as a friend, I assumed I'd be considered as a bridesmaid or at least be invited. I was excited to talk all plans with her about the wedding. When she announced the wedding and posted the date on Facebook and Instagram, I replied to her stories and I texted her, "Girl, finally! Should we get on the bridesmaid's dress shopping?" She then immediately video called me. She told me she's excited about the wedding, but sadly I won't be a bridesmaid. I was surprised, considering we've been really good friends. I asked her why, and she told me that she doesn't owe an explanation to me. I insisted because as a friend I think I'm at least owed an explanation about that decision, and I'll respect it. She said it's because her brother's, aka my ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, is going to be a bridesmaid, so it'd be very uncomfortable for the ex to be there as well. She also told me I'm overall not invited at all because my ex is uncomfortable with my presence, and she doesn't want to make her brother and his partner uncomfortable and wants this to be a pleasant experience for them. I tried to be understanding, I really do, but I told her how ridiculous it is that she's not inviting me because of her brother's discomfort and his girlfriend's insecurities and possible jealousy. She implied I'm an a-hole for assuming I'd be a bridesmaid in the first place, since she never made her intentions clear on whether I'd even be invited, and that I don't get to judge her choices. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. I texted her, "Girl, finally. Should we get on to bridesmaid's dress shopping?" That's not normal. Who assumes they're a bridesmaid and doesn't even wait to be asked? She isn't being ridiculous, you are. Of course her brother comes ahead of you. Man, I didn't even assume I was gonna be one at my best friend's wedding. I waited for her to tell me. I certainly didn't text her about dress shopping randomly without confirmation. You're the a-hole, assuming to be a bridesmaid, hounding her for a reason when it's clear why she doesn't want you as bridesmaid, whining about her brother and his girlfriend when most people don't like seeing their exes regardless of feelings. It is pretty standard for exes to be kept out of family functions. Seriously, someone's wedding is supposed to be a pleasant experience for them, and if that means you're not invited, then that's that. You should be happy for your friend rather than adding more unnecessary stress to her plate. You're the a-hole, OP. You're the a-hole. I don't find it odd at all that she would take her brother's feelings into account before yours. You should never just assume you'll be a bridesmaid. That puts everyone in a very awkward position. Update. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my husband used my bonus on him? Original story. History. My husband, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been married about 4 years now. We dated in college and got married after. He finished college with a finance degree and thought he would go into accounting. Well, he quickly found out that was not his passion. So he bounced around jobs and ideas, business, teacher, lawyer, but nothing really kept him saying, "This is what I want to do." This was pre-COVID. Since COVID, he has attempted anything. He says after the pandemic there will be a boom in jobs and he can find something that he's passionate about. I have been working full-time and thankfully my job became remote and pays the bills while keeping food on the table. Incident in question. After the fiscal year closed, my work had done really well. We're selling medical testing equipment, so it was a big product of 2020. I was given a promotion. I got a little pay raise and a small bonus. I was really excited because I could finally repair my purse and replace my shoes. My friend's puppy destroyed, but I acknowledge I should not have left my purse on a low stool in front of the puppy's bed. So, my fault. I was so excited to tell my husband, but he seemed more excited than me over this promotion. He started going off about how he could redo his game area and get the new system since he was tired of his others. And I was dumbfounded. I got really quiet because I almost could not believe what he was saying. He eventually goes out and gets himself a new system, chair, and mouse. He had basically spent my bonus. I was so upset and ultimately hurt and numb. We ended up getting into an argument, and he called me selfish for not being happy that he got to achieve his dream, and I am spoiled for being upset I couldn't spend this money on myself first. I basically called him an ungrateful a-hole and asked why does he deserve new stuff when I have been providing. He got really quiet on that one and stormed out saying he would be staying with his family, only about an hour away. I have been getting angry calls and texts due to the fact he didn't feel supported in his own home. And if I'm making the money, I can get whatever I want when I want. And I shouldn't throw it in his face that he doesn't have an income, which is not true. I'm trying to keep a roof over our head and food on the table. All his friends and family think I way overreacted to something that makes my husband happy. And that the next time we get a large sum of money, my husband said he would let me repair my purse. I haven't responded and don't think I will for a few days. But I have gotten so many "you're such a witch" and the a-hole, I'm starting to wonder if I really am. Summary. Husband is bored with his game system stuff, so he used my bonus and raced to buy him a new one without my permission. And when I got upset, I was labeled selfish and unsupportive. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Also, as someone who's been in a relationship with this type of person, lawyers can be found on Google. Thank you for your input. I was hoping it wouldn't reach there, but after this, I'm not sure. I would separate your checking account, although that would send him flying. I doubt that your husband will ever change. Not the a-hole. He is selfish and entitled. I would start separating your finances to protect your future self. Not saying you will split or should split, but this is reckless. I was hoping to not have to go there because I believe a marriage was a union between two people, that they shouldn't have anything entitled to them. But after thousands disappeared, I'm starting to wonder what this union means to him. I was assuming hundreds. Thousands? That is absolutely unacceptable. Start a personal savings account with direct deposit now. Sort the details later. Not the a-hole and is trying to manipulate you into feeling bad, rather than taking responsibility for his terrible actions. You clean the house and make the money. What does he bring to your relationship? What is done is unacceptable, childish, and selfish. I'd return his new toys and tell him to stay at his parents until he gets a clue about adult life. I'm not saying divorce him, but do not let this slide even an inch. Don't give in to his gaslighting. You are right. There is no argument in the world that he can make to justify his behavior. Thank you for this. I felt so hurt that he could spend it like nothing, and then I am supposed to be the bad guy. I think this is the first time where I felt my partner isn't my partner. Edit/update. Wow, thank you everyone. I was not expecting this kind of support. I appreciate all the kind messages and compassion. This is more than I have ever felt in my life, so thank you Reddit. I took the weekend to reflect on what I want and read through the comments and messages. I see your point, and that I can't keep treating this like a marriage if he doesn't. So here's to today and my first step towards freedom. I am separating the finances immediately and contacting a local lawyer to see my options and rights, as well as therapy options for him. I will present this to him and he gets to choose. But I refuse to baby an almost 30-year-old. If he wants that, well, he has his mother. Thank you, everyone. I will try and update in the future. And now for the update. I first want to thank everyone who reached out and snapped me out of these days with my soon-to-be ex. He was extremely toxic and just made me feel not even worth anything. This is probably why it was so hard to see, wasn't it? So I want to thank everyone who offered words of encouragement and even a tough love. I needed to hear it. After he went back to his parents, he was waiting for my apology, which I never did, and when he noticed I drained our joint bank, he escalated saying I was his, and how I could never actually leave him, and that he owed me. All of my success was his, and without him I would be a loser dropout. His family was even worse, because I had already blocked them, so they started making fake accounts and using apps to hide their number to harass me, saying I ruined their son's life, and how he sacrificed everything to get me where I am. To throw him to the side like this was disgusting and I deserved a rod. I provided all this to my lawyer, who recommended to take a restraining order in case he wanted to escalate further, and to not engage ever, but just keep the records. This has caused my anxiety to go through the roof, and I am working on this with my therapist. I have separated the finances completely and changed my banks. Even told them my soon-to-be ex is never allowed to access these accounts because he would take it all and run. I have changed my number and gone completely social media-less. Besides this, part of me is broken that our marriage came to end over a computer. I keep thinking I'm stupid and how I couldn't see the warning signs. I must look like a fool to everyone. All in all, I'm slowly picking up the pieces of my life and figuring out how to move forward. Thank you to anyone still reading this, and thank you everyone who helped me get here. Summary: I am officially filing for divorce after I never apologized to him, which only made my soon-to-be ex-husband and his family started harassing me to the nth degree. I was having a panic attack every time the phone rang, so I had to change my number and delete my social media. I am gaining my freedom from my toxic partner and his family. Your marriage didn't come to an end because of a computer. It came to an end because of your significant other. That just happened to be the final straw that opened your eyes to the reality of your relationship. I know this hurts, but it will get better. I tried to remember this. It didn't end because of one event. But of course I got put on blast for divorcing over a computer and get labeled immature. It hurts, but I know I can't listen to them or I will forever be a cash cow to my ex. Tell them your ex said all that crap about owning you, and you being a loser who wouldn't make it without him. If they get back on your side, they're worth keeping around. If not, take out the trash while you're getting rid of the dumpster fire that is your ex. A few friends were on my side, but I lost the majority. They keep saying how I am selfish, and how I would be okay because I have the job. Marriage is for better or for worse, not just something convenient. How would I feel if my husband was making money, and I bought something to make me feel better because I was depressed, and my husband divorced me? So I dropped trying to plead my case. They can have him at his family. For worse means things like illness or financial strife, not one person being selfish to the detriment of the other. It's a partnership, and he wasn't acting like a partner. I want to address this specifically. I must look like a fool to everyone. You absolutely do not. You look like someone who managed to find the courage to do something extremely difficult. Abusive relationships, and make no mistake, this was mistreatment. Financial abuse is a real thing, as is emotional abuse, are incredibly hard to escape from. Relationships require emotional investment, and even in a bad relationship, it's natural to think, I've put so much of myself into this relationship, so I need to try to fix it. Abusers know this, and will do everything they can to undermine your self-confidence, so that fixing an unfixable relationship seems more feasible than leaving it. I was so very proud that you were able to push past the manipulation, both from him and his family, and escape from that toxic relationship. And the fact that you're taking this seriously enough to involve a lawyer is great news, because it shows that you're not going to fall into the trap of, let's try to fix this one more time. So no, you don't look like a fool. You look like a woman who has finally realized her worth as a person. And, unlike a bonus from work, Your soon-to-be ex-husband can't take that away from you. This made me tear up. Thank you for these words. I really had no self-value or worth coming into this. Even in therapy, I broke down, saying I had failed my marriage and I was getting a divorce because I am unhappy. I now see this thinking is due to the emotional mistreatment from my ex. I never felt good enough and like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. I am thankful he took the steps to get a lawyer because we have been able to document all the verbal harassment from his family. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for transferring shared funds to a personal account? Some background story. I, 35 male, and my wife, 33 female, live together in a medium-sized apartment. She works as a teacher, whereas I work as a pharmacologist for a major biotech company. This means there is a very large pay gap between us. So we both share an account so that we can both pay for necessities and other things. Recently, though, I've noticed a lot of strange activity in the account. She has been withdrawing and depositing large amounts of money recently, like thousands of dollars large. I went to confront her about it. And as it turns out, she has been doing some very risky trading in the stock market. I was not pleased with this, and I felt betrayed that she would gamble our money like that. She just said that I needed to trust her and pointed out that in the past week, around when it started, she has increased the account's value by about 10%. In the end, it devolved into a screaming match and no progress was made. After a lot of thinking, I decided that I would protect my share of the money, since I believe there is a high likelihood that she will start chasing losses and lose all of the money in the account. So I transferred my contribution, about 65%, to a personal account and started cashing my checks to that account. Well, as soon as she found out, she was livid. She said that it was unfair for me to only leave her with 35% of our income since we were married, and she would not be able to adjust to such a salary cut. She wants me to transfer everything back to the communal account immediately, and has stopped talking to me. It was never my intent to hinder her quality of life, and I'm debating transferring her some of the money so it would be split 50-50, but I really want to protect my contribution to the account from her reckless trading. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You should have 3 accounts. Yours, hers, and joint. Have all bills get paid from the joint account. Then you can protect your money. She's free to spend her money and invest. Agreed. This is how my husband and I handle it. I have a spreadsheet that breaks down bills and how much we both make. Then we contribute to the joint account based on those numbers. For example, say bills are $1,000 total a month. Say I make 40% of our total income and my husband makes 60%. I will put $400 in the joint and he does $600. Anything outside of that is for us to do with as we will. It works well for us and we have shared it with a few couples who've argued over finances in the past and it's worked for them as well. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She's happy to see your money go into some investing company's account, so why would she care so much when it goes into yours? Because then she doesn't reap the benefits. He does. Just like if there is a loss, he takes a hit on the loss as well. I need to be clear, I don't mind her using shared money for this. If she talks about and discusses it first, since it was joint money. Not the a-hole. Though I feel you could consider a different approach. Just a suggestion. Your wife is dealing in stocks. Sometimes some people have a knack for it. Sometimes people become very much involved. Read a lot in different companies before buying/selling stocks. Your wife is trying something new. How about you both set a budget for your wife to invest in stocks? You both can also decide on a timeline. Example, she gets 6 months, and if you both realize that it is going in losses, give it up. There's a few things here. First, we don't know if she's trading stocks, because OP didn't say. She could just as easily be trading options, cryptocurrency or forex. If it's one of those 3 options, she's putting their money at major risk. Trading legitimately is one of those things that it doesn't matter how skilled or knowledgeable a trader is. They can still lose massive, and I mean massive amounts of money. Even the professionals and retail traders that do profit take $1 million plus losses at times. The market is unpredictable, especially in times like this. Well, over 95% of traders lose money trading every year. If she was actually being safe with just stock trading, she would have that money in an index account with solid returns. I highly doubt that's what she's doing from the post. Don't believe me? My boyfriend does this stuff, and I hate it. He's probably lost 30,000 plus this past year alone in options, crypto, and forex. One of his losses was 18,000 in one trade. This stuff really isn't a joke. OP needs to protect himself now, and he needs to do it fast. Not the a-hole. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for going on a camping trip instead of staying home with my pregnant wife? I know the title might sound bad, but the story is that 12 years ago, myself, 32 male, my younger brother and our two close friends started a tradition that every year we go on a camping trip together. We weren't able to the past 2 years because my wife, 29 female, and I had our first child in 2019. And last year, obviously wasn't a great time to be taking trips. So this year, me and my brother and our friends agreed on going camping. I told my wife, who is currently 25 weeks pregnant, about it 3 weeks before, and she wasn't happy. She said I can't just leave her alone while she's pregnant. She said that she's anxious because our daughter was born premature at 27 weeks, and she's scared it's going to happen again with this pregnancy, and that I wasn't going to be there with her. I reminded her that this camping trip was only going to be for 2 days. I'm only a few hours away, and that I highly doubt anything is going to happen while I'm gone for the weekend. She told me, do whatever you want. I went camping last weekend, and when I came home, my wife has been in bad mood ever since. I tried to discuss it with her because I don't understand why she's so mad at me. And she tried saying that I never prioritize her, and that I need to grow up because I'm a dad now. Then she proceeded to call me a self-absorbed a-hat. I feel guilty now. She and my daughter have always been my first priority and my main focus. All I did was go away for 1 weekend. Am I the a-hole? Ordinarily, I would say at 25 weeks, she can manage. But if you have history of a 27-week preemie, then yeah, you're the a-hole. Did the trauma of the first time around escape you? Does the stress of your wife must be under hoping not to go through that again not mean anything? I had a 31-weeker, and the whole situation was the most physically and emotionally traumatic situation I've ever been through. I've never felt so helpless and frightened. I will not put myself through another pregnancy because I can't risk it happening again. Your wife must be having to work really hard to be strong. And for you to just bugger off with your mates at such a vulnerable time is definitely a major a-hole move. I read a title and was prepared to say you weren't the a-hole, but boy was I wrong. Premature birth can be terrifying, and coming up on a point in a pregnancy where something went wrong the last time is a special kind of torture. It wasn't just a weekend. She let you know she was scared and anxious and vulnerable, and you completely dropped the ball. Not to mention what she would have been feeling if she had gone into premature labor without you there. Stop saying your wife and child are your first priority and make them that. You're the a-hole. She and my daughter have always been my first priority and my main focus. All I did was go away for 1 weekend. These sentences contradict each other. You're the a-hole. An oxymoron said by a moron. It's poetic, honestly. You're the a-hole. You ignored your pregnant wife's wishes so you can go camping. Clearly, she's not a priority. At the time you went, she was roughly 5 to 6 months along, which is when it starts getting difficult for her to do things on her own, including looking after your daughter. You need to do something special for your wife, who's going through a lot hormonally and mentally, so that she knows you prioritize her. Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give any money to my pregnant ex? Original story. My ex 25 female and I 27 male were together about 6 months, but during that time we were free to see other people. Things weren't working out, so we broke up. Over a month after that, she finds out she's pregnant and tells me baby is mine. But I already knew she was seeing other guys, so it was also possible the baby isn't. She got mad that I was having doubts. But I said if we got a paternity test and it showed I'm the dad, then yeah, I'll 100% be involved. My ex didn't want that, and she'd rather wait until after the baby is born to get a test done. So I said that's fine, it's your choice. But I won't get myself involved unless I know the baby is mine. Like, I already know I could be set up for child support if I start helping out now, and then later it's revealed I'm not the father. I live in the US and have heard this stuff happens a lot. I'd rather not even risk it, you know? She's about 8 months now, and I have started saving up money, reading up some books, making shopping cart lists of baby clothes and furniture to buy in case I am the father, so it's not like I'm not preparing for this at all. So right now, money's tight with her since I know she's only working part-time. She doesn't have money for baby bassinet or clothes because she practically lives paycheck to paycheck. She started asking to let her borrow money for baby stuff, but I've told her no. As far as I know, she doesn't have other family she's close to, and friends are the same as her with money. But I already said I'll start giving her money and helping out once I know her son is mine. Otherwise, I'd rather not get involved. I've even told her to reach out to the other guys who could also be the dads, but she said one is even more broke, and the other she hasn't been able to contact. So for right now, seems like I'm the only one actually able to offer financial support. We have a couple mutual friends and I'm getting crap from them because they know I have the money to help out. She could be the mom of my kids, so the least I could do is provide. They say they would if they had the money. Since I do have the means and this baby could be mine, I should already be helping. They have a point. The baby could be mine and I'll be happy to help out. Once I know he is in fact mine. But everyone else is seeing it as I'm being too cold and inconsiderate. I don't think I am, but I want to know what others believe. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You don't owe her anything until you're sure of paternity. And to be honest, if she can't afford to have a kid, regardless of who the father is, she shouldn't be having a kid. Took the words right out of my mouth. Let's not forget either that I can't reach one guy and the other is broke is a her problem, and likely the only reason she's trying to peg OP as the father. I'm not sure why she would even keep a baby if she can't afford it, especially if 2 out of 3 of the possible fathers can't provide. I wouldn't want to be stuck paying for a kid that wasn't mine either. Seems like this girl really messed up. And if she is in such dire financial straits, it will only get worse after she delivers and can't work for a bit. You would think she would have gotten the test if she was hurting for cash that bad, but the fact that she didn't shows me she thinks he probably isn't a father. I wouldn't help the ex at all. Not financially or otherwise until he knows the paternity of the kid. Family court is a strange beast, and I wouldn't give them any reason to make him responsible if the child turns out to not be his. Edited to add, I just read that not only did you use protection, she did too. So that coupled with her not wanting to get a paternity test tells me she doesn't think you're the father. She just thinks you're the best financial option, which you are. Don't help or give her a dime until paternity is established, because there is a huge chance it's not yours. You actually have friends who want you to give money to an ex-girlfriend who could be pregnant with another guy's baby? Tell those people to give her their own money, then wait for the paternity test. Not the a-hole. Adding on to this comment because it's the only one I can find at the moment regarding money. I have 2 children myself. When I was pregnant, I needed $0. That's right, 0. None of the appointments charged a copay, and I had terrible insurance during parts of my second pregnancy. As far as items for the baby, I know at least 6 Facebook groups off the top of my head for my area where people give away every damn thing you need for a baby. Cribs, clothes, strollers, car seats, bottles, heck even breast pumps, surplus formula, diapers and wipes. There are social programs she can get set up with and her doctor can help her. She can apply for WIC and get all that stuff for free. She doesn't need any money from Opie. She sounds like she is just hoping he will be the dad because he sounds like the best choice out of the potential list of fathers. Do not let her put your name on a birth certificate until you have had a paternity test, or you will be screwed for money till the kid is 18, even if it is not yours. Now for the update. Hasn't been that long, but thought I should update since many of you wanted to know. Following what a few here suggested, I tried talking to my ex again about getting the prenatal paternity test done right now, since she kept pressing me about giving her money. I said if her situation is that bad, then let's have this test done already. So if the baby is mine, I can start helping now. Because if we waited until after birth, she was going to have to wait for my support until the results came in. Plus, if she still refused a paternity test, then it would be more waiting around to get a court-ordered test. Meaning, no help from me at all for a while, even after the baby is already here. So yeah, she agreed to it in the end. He's not mine. I just got the results day before yesterday. My ex didn't really have much to say. She only texted, "Fine then, I won't bother you anymore." I told her I was sorry and wished her luck. Also told her about what you guys commented about Facebook posts selling or giving away used baby stuff, plus the WIC program that could help her out since she's low income. But she didn't respond after that and haven't heard from her since, so I don't know if she'll look into those. Not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. I know I was having my doubts about this baby being mine and was keeping my distance. But like I said, I was mentally and physically preparing in case he was, so that I could be there as a father. Still feel that loss, but at least now I know for sure. I appreciate everyone who commented, and thanks for the info and advice. I'm sorry to hear about your disappointment, but you did everything you could to help, to a reasonable extent, by providing resources for her to look into. Sad for Opie, sad for the child, and for the mom. Hope the rightful dad and mom can figure out a way so that this little one doesn't have to struggle in life. Not they whole. I wouldn't hold my breath on the actual father ever stepping up. So sad all around. I'm rabidly pro-choice, but in situations like this, I cannot fathom why would one choose to have the kid and raise them. Thanks for the update. I was curious about how the situation was going to turn out. Since you knew she was seeing other guys, you did the smartest thing you could have done. Establish paternity as the first step. It's understandable that you may be left with a feeling of loss. For a period of time, there was the potential that you brought another human into the world. That potential is now gone. You seem like a good guy, and have never been the a-hole in this situation. Not the a-hole. Yeah, exactly. Hard not to feel some sort of attachment at the possibility of having a kid. I know it's not the same as actually losing a kid. He was never mine to begin with, but I guess there's still that emptiness and sadness. I know I'll get over it in time. The news is still fresh and all. Just a suggestion. Could you all throw her a baby shower? Especially the friends who told you off for not helping her. What are they doing now? Funny how people clam up when they could need help. Maybe, yeah. Probably wouldn't be able to actually meet with COVID. Plus, she's due soon. Their issue was they were all just as broke as her, but I don't see why pitching in on a gift would be a problem for them. Not Dayhall. My cousin just found out the baby he thought was his daughter isn't his. She lied, and the baby is over a year old now. They weren't together, and the baby went back and forth between them each week until he received the paternity results. He gave her $2,000 a month. Everyone in our family is heartbroken because now she is keeping her from him since he discovered the truth. He's a mess. A lot less painful. Really smart of you to do this. It's crazy people do this. Wow, I'm really sorry for your cousin. I hope things get better for him. Can't even imagine how hard that must be. I don't know why people need to lie. Needing money or feeling like you don't have any other option, I guess, is one reason. But why at the cost of someone else's life and your child's too? Anyways, that's a really tough situation. I hope he gets some help. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my brother part of the money my dad left me? My brother and I, 27 male, are a year apart, so he's 1 year older than me. When he was 3, it all came out that my mom was having an affair and my brother's real dad was the one she was cheating with. The guy was secretly coming over to spend time with my brother until they decided to tell my dad because he wanted to be involved. I was still little, but from what I was told, this crushed my dad. Even when he talked to me about it years later, it still made him upset. They already knew the other guy was the bio dad, but my dad did a paternity test on both of us to make sure. I was the only one that was his. My parents divorced and I was living between households. So, my brother's dad was involved and living with my mom. But when my brother was 9, he took off and left them, so my mom was struggling. After that, my parents started fighting over my mom wanting my dad to be involved in my brother's life too, since he was his dad before all of this. This drama dragged for years, but my dad refused to help with my brother. My dad moved to another city 9 hours away due to work when I was 11. They let me move with him, so I saw my mom 2 to 3 times a month plus school breaks. She still pushed for my brother to go with me when my dad would come pick me up, so around 16 I just stopped going. My dad unfortunately had a heart attack a few months ago, and I lost him. I miss him every day, and the last few months have been really draining emotionally. What's happening right now is starting to weigh down on me. Since I was my dad's only son and he never remarried, basically everything went to me. I'm not a millionaire or anything, but with this kind of money, my student loans would be paid off completely. My wife and I are talking about a kid soon, and the rest of the money could be put into those expenses. My brother and I don't talk that much, but he's been calling and messaging non-stop about this. He says it's unfair for my dad to leave him out like this, and he deserved some of that money too. And he thinks it's only right that I split the money with him since he was my dad's son at one point. And I mean, yeah, he was for 3 years, but then he had his dad for a while, and my dad never had involvement with my brother since the divorce. Even my mom is giving me gripes and telling me not to be an a-hole like my dad by excluding my brother. I'm just really mad about the whole thing. He left that money for me, and it will be a huge help to pay off those debts and then invest the rest in our kid. But I don't know if not wanting to split what I received with him an a-hole thing or not. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. There's no responsibility to him. It doesn't matter that he was his dad for all of a whopping 3 years. He had his dad. They chose him, and only guilted your father when they were jilted. Your mother has turned him into an entitled person like her. Not a-hole. How much do you remember from being a 3-year-old? If anything, your mom is an a-hole. Sorry for talking crap on your mom, for pushing him on your dad, and probably building up the injustice of it all with him. But no, you are not an a-hole. Don't worry about it. Have my own issues with her, not related to the cheating or this, so I don't take any offense. Not a-hole. You do not need to give your brother any of the money your dad left you. In fact, it would be disrespectful to your dad's memory to do it, knowing how he felt about the situation. I am not sure where your mom got the idea that it is other people's responsibility to work out the complications she created in her life by cheating and having child with a man other than her husband, but that makes her an a-hole. She was fine with divorcing your dad and living with the other guy, and only wanted your dad to be involved when the other guy turned out to be a deadbeat. You were not responsible for the fact that your brother's dad is such a loser. Your brother and you don't talk that much, but all of a sudden, he is constantly in touch because he wants your money? That's a-hole behavior. If he wants help, he should reach out to his father and ask. If that doesn't work out, that's his problem, not yours. You're an innocent bystander to all this, and you don't owe anyone anything here. I would tell him and your mother that the answer is no. You are honoring your father's wishes, and nothing they will say changed your mind about that. The money will be used for your debts and to start your family on a good footing. Tell them the next time they mention it, you will block their numbers and do your best to move on without them. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for respecting my late wife's wishes about keeping her family out? My wife unfortunately passed away last year when our daughter was only 3 months old. It was very difficult to get through, but my little girl and I are keeping it together. My daughter is 16 months now, and there's been pressure from my wife's sister to let her side of the family see my daughter. The issue is, my wife had absolutely no contact with her family since she was 18. So 16 years of not seeing them. Her home life was something she never wanted to talk about. It always made her upset, so I never pushed her to tell me. All I know is that they were manipulative and abusive in some form. She left as soon as she was 18, changed her last name, and never spoke to them again. 4 years ago, she got into contact with her older sister, and she's the only person my wife allowed into our lives. By that, I mean we met through video chat, but never actually in person. We still maintained contact after my wife passed, and we met a couple times before and during my wife's funeral. My sister-in-law called me a few weeks ago. She mentioned her parents would really like to meet their granddaughter and want to start over. They didn't attend my wife's funeral because they knew she wouldn't want them to be there. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. I told my sister-in-law this. Well, she got very upset. She said it's been years, and yes, her parents were awful people. Again, won't say exactly what they did, but losing their daughters made them reflect on things. And they want to meet my daughter since my wife never gave them that chance. She's still trying to convince me, and so far I've said no. Each time I just feel more and more bad for denying them. But it's what my wife wanted. Her parents found my Facebook. Pretty sure sister-in-law might have told them, and I've gotten dozens of messages begging me to let my daughter know her mom's side of the family. And I should keep her from knowing her grandparents for past mistakes. None of them will leave me alone, and sister-in-law has said a few times that I may be grieving losing a wife, but to have some empathy for them losing a child. Because right now, I'm being too heartless for denying them the chance to meet the only piece of my wife they have left. I am at my wit's end with this, because I am not sure if I am being a-hole or not. I don't know the whole reason why my wife never wanted to see them again. Even if I did though, I'd still like to honor her wish. The way they are being, however, makes it hard not to wonder if I am. Not at a-hole. All I know is they were manipulative and abusive in some form. The best prediction of future behavior is past behavior. None of them will leave me alone. I'm at my wit's end with this because I am not sure if I'm being a-hole or not. You are getting a glimpse of their manipulative tactics. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. Honor her wish. If the family really didn't attend a funeral to respect her wishes, I'm sure they'd do the same here. Don't let them near your daughter ever, OP. And talk to a lawyer. The death of a parent can be grounds for grandparents' rights. Do not even answer. Not answering is a response, and many times better than saying no. You gotta protect your daughter the way your wife tried to protect her and herself. The only thing you know is that they were manipulative, yet your wife could get very upset if her family was mentioned. So imagine all the trauma she had to deal with. Maybe she was the scapegoat, and that's why her sister defends them. Either way, break contact with the sister too. Does she keep in contact with you out of genuine interest of her nephew/niece, or because she sees that the door could be slightly open to let her parents in, now that the factor didn't want them is dead? What if one day you meet with the sister and suddenly you see two older people with her? They won't let you escape. This is not a coincidence that now they want to be in your lives. They already wanted to insert themselves, and a channel to that was the sister, who has probably given them a lot of information and photos you may have shared with her. This sister-in-law is fighting her parents' fight for them now, and the fact that neither she nor your wife told them exactly why your wife went no contact is terrifying. She's crossing boundaries left and right. She's shown you who she is, so believe her and cut her off. Not a-hole. Do not let them have anything to do with your daughter. The last thing you want is to allow them to have a relationship with your daughter. And then after a while, you see exactly why your wife didn't want anything to do with them. Because depending where you live, if they have an established relationship with your daughter, they can go for grandparents' rights. As of right now, they have no grounds. Cut the sister-in-law off too. She's just giving you a taste of how toxic the rest of your wife's family are. Protect your child. Thank you for the advice. With everything on my plate, it's just been so overwhelming, and now this whole situation. I want to be able to honor my wife's wishes, whatever the reason was that made her cut all contact with them.